Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Digital Service Squad webinar. My name is Ben Frisch with the South Georgian Bay and Grey County Digital Service Squad, and we're joined as well by Karen Gibson and Amy Kells from our team here also on the Digital Service Squad. And as usual, just want to point out put out a reminder there that the Ontario government and the Ontario BIA and the Toronto Association of BIAs all are the program sponsors. They make this program happen, and yeah, we're just really excited to be here as always to provide continuous support for digital marketing for local businesses through the Digital Main Street program. So today we're talking about getting started with Google Ads. And, I like to mention this for all of our webinars. Sometimes we might not get technical enough. This one we probably will get fairly technical. So whichever way you fall, we try to keep it middle of the ground. But it's always a good excuse to book a free consultation with our team, the local Digital Service Squad, where you can get one-on-one support with anything related to your digital marketing. So whether or not it's your Google Ads or your Google Analytics or your social media strategy, your website, we are here to help. So we're going to put that link in I can't copy that. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Yes, Amy just dropped it in the chat. Thank you. So feel free to book those consultations at any time. And again, as we go through this, today's session is going to be a little more free flow, a little unstructured. So definitely drop in your questions into the chat or the Q&A. As you have them, I will answer them as we go. We're going to be looking at a few things here. So we're going to take you through accessing and setting up a Google Ads account. I'm not going to necessarily go through like the full setup process because that I don't want to eat up too much time, but just cover off that real quick. And then we're going to talk about getting started. I do want to touch on sort of just the hierarchy and how ad campaigns are set up in Google Ads. And then we're going to dive into the platform itself, create campaigns and create ad groups and ads. And that's where the fun begins. That's where we're going to get pretty technical. And hopefully I don't lose you at that point. But like I said, book that consult if you have follow-up questions or need additional support. We're also going to talk about some important installations, I believe. And budgeting as well is always important consideration, very important consideration, I should say, and some best practices as we sort of roll out our campaigns. And so, a lot of that stuff we're going to glaze over pretty quickly. We're going to speed through it because I definitely want to save the bulk of our time for the ad platform itself and focus on just navigating that pretty complex platform and showing you around and showing you the process for creating a new ad campaign. So again, just really quickly, accessing your Google Ads account, you'll go to ads.google.com. and you want to log in with your main Google account. So keep in mind, if you have not set up an ad account, you will need to go through the setup process there. You can skip it. So the setup process for Google Ads is slightly annoying because even if you're a seasoned veteran, they're still going to try and walk you through like a smart ad setup, meaning they're just going to start asking you about your business, all your info for an ad, setting up keywords and headlines, and this is before you've even signed up completely They're just trying to like get you on the hook for this Google Smart ad. But if you look at the very beginning, and I missed it for the longest time, I could never find it. There is a button, a little link that says you can skip to or go to advanced mode, like right at the very beginning of that process. So that's something to keep in mind, because what we're going to be looking at today is the advanced mode of Google Analytics or Google Ads. So yeah, I definitely recommend skipping that process when you do set up a new account. And then yeah, going back to your Google login, like your account that you're using, I recommend, because a lot of people have multiple Google accounts. That's not uncommon, but you want to try and use the same one that you use for your analytics, your search console, your Google business profile. Try and keep things consistent. That's just going to make your life a lot easier and organized when you're trying to, manage all of these platforms. Having them all connected to one single Google account just makes it cleaner, easier to manage. So definitely keep that in mind when you are doing that sign up. Just have a look at the top right corner to make sure, there's that circle that shows you what account you're logged in as. Double check and make sure that you are using the one that you want and not just like, I've heard of other, sometimes if you do it on, someone else's computer or someone's been using your computer, you might sign up under someone else's account and now they have all your info, and that's not a good thing. So keep that in mind and be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I just want to mention really quickly too, we have a digital marketing plan template available that I always like to share with people. So it's a free download. The link is here. And the reason for this is that, and when you get to the point, it can be pretty quick and easy to get to the point where we are creating the ad itself, but that's where you often will just hit a wall. You'll hit a creative sort of brick wall, and you kind of get slowed down immensely because you have to start thinking about things like headlines, keywords, all these different sort of creative elements. And what I recommend doing is downloading this plan template, filling that out first, so that when you do get to the point of creating your ad within Google Ads, it's just copy paste and it's very straightforward. And it makes the process so much easier and more effective too, because you've given the time necessary to actually write the ad copy, content, and not rushing it, because that's what ends up happening, right? You've gotten so far in Google Ads, you just want to get this ad up and running. You just rush through your copy, and that's definitely not what you want to do. So what this plan template will allow you to do is to help, plan which product you're selling, right? A lot of people don't think about that. Like, what actually am I trying to sell? What audience are you going to be targeting? The messaging that you're going to be using, as well as your timeline, when you want to start and stop this campaign, and your budget. So again, all these things really important to think about before you get into Google Ads, so that you're not rushing it and overlooking some very important elements. I think I can copy link address. Here we go. I'm going to paste this in the chat so that you have it here as well. And moving right along. So again, we're just rushing through this, and we'll get into the actual Google Ads platform, but just want to give an overview as well, because I feel like this is really a great visual to share, to really wrap your head around just the hierarchy of Google Ads. And Facebook is very similar, pretty much identical. They just call it something they call it ad sets instead of ad groups. But essentially, we have our campaign level at the top, where we set some just high level settings for everything else that follows underneath it. So that can often be your timeline, your budget, but then ad groups have some additional settings that mostly your audience and your keywords, and then the ads are underneath that will, you know, have the different headlines and ad copy and assets like pictures and that kind of stuff, right? So the creative aspect of it. So the reason why you might have a setup like this with one campaign at the top and two ad groups would be as if you're targeting different groups with different ads. So you might be targeting, you might have an ad group that's set to target people in Collingwood, but you want slightly different creative and messaging for like a Barrie audience. So let's say Owen Sound in our Great County folks. So you might create a different ad group that you could tweak those ads and have specific messaging for that target audience instead. So just a quick visual to help you sort of wrap your head around that hierarchy and how things are set up in Google Ads. I think, you know what, before we get into budget, let's hop into Google Ads and start talking about that whole platform here. So everyone can see this, okay? You're all, if we're still on board, okay. So we're in our Google Ads account. Now, this is for our digital service squad, because I wanted to share an account that actually had some data in it, which is great to look at, right? And to understand what we're seeing here. So when you come in to your ad account, initially, you are going to see your overview. So this is going to give you a span of time that we're looking at past ad data, and just an overview of our number of clicks, number of impressions that we're getting, average cost per click, and the total amount that we've spent. So we are spending about just around $300 Canadian per month with this particular account. If we scroll down, one really important thing we'll talk about a lot more is our optimization score. So optimization score is essentially just that. I mean, Google will score your ad campaign based on a variety of different factors, and it's a great metric to look at to make sure that you're keeping it high, and because the higher the number, it means that you know, you're using the tools, the best tools that are available. You are adhering to Google's recommendations. You're following all the rules, and you're playing their game, and you're doing everything right to try and make your ads as best as they can be. Did you want to say something, Amy?
Yeah, sorry. Valerie just has a question here. She says, so is the campaign aligned with a specific product, so to speak? And that would be correct. Yes. I just wanted to answer that for her.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So you can, you want to think of your campaigns aligned to a specific product or purpose. So like if you're a service-based industry, you might think of a campaign as like maybe you're running a promotion or something, or you are just trying to drive new leads for whatever type of business that you're in. So yeah, you can think of it in that sense. But definitely, like if you're in the goods and service product, or excuse me, if you're in the retail space, you can think of it as, you could do it as a product, but you could also do it as like a product category. We can get into that more. So, so yeah, again, optimization score, we want to try and keep that up as high as possible. I'd say 73, we can probably find some improvements to make here, and we'll actually get into that today. But yeah, then you're going to just get an overview of different things going on. I'm not going to get into too much with this because, yeah, I might waste a bit of time there. But one thing to point out too is that, so this time span here that we're seeing on this chart is from May 1st to May 29th. So essentially the last 30 days or the last, the last 30 days. And that's because this is the date range here that has been selected. So this is much like Google Analytics. It can really trip you up if you are seeing some data in here that just doesn't look right. Like if you came in and it's showing like thousands of dollars, that might, trigger some alarm bells. But then if you look at the date range, maybe it's showing you data from like the past 2 years, right? So you have to, take a breath, make sure you're looking at the right date range that you want to. That's always key. And then you'll get the data that that you want. Well, that's appropriate for that date range. And the last thing I'll say about this too is, if when you first set up your Google Ads account and it does not look like this dashboard, that's because you have set up, you've gone through their sort of smart campaign setup, and they're going to spit you out in their sort of like easy mode, I guess you'd call it. And so what you do is just up here, I think it's up in the top corner, there will be a, I think it is this change view, but you can change back, you can change to expert mode, I believe is what it's called. So that's how you would see a layout just like this, by switching to expert mode instead of just using their smart campaign mode. So next, I'm going to show you campaigns. So what we're seeing now, again, is just the overview, but we're going to go into campaigns. So this is all of the campaigns that we have created. And we can see there's some zeros down here, meaning in the date range that we've selected, those campaigns have not had any activity. And that's because these two are paused. You can see that from this this little dot highlight here. That's sort of the campaign status. So we paused those two because they are I think obsolete in terms of the creative. That sort of wrapped up. We created new ones, so we paused those ones, and then these three have ended. So that means that we had created the campaign with a start and end date, which was effective, which I always recommend too. So a start and end date, meaning, the campaign's not going to run past your end date, which is a really great way to manage your budgets. I always like to remind people, if you're afraid of spending too much money, if you forget about the campaign and you just leave it spending, $5 a day for several months and you forget about it, like that's not good because you want to be on top of it. You want to make sure that the links are still relevant, the content is still relevant, and that they're still driving traffic appropriately to your business. So that's where the end date can be really handy. So if we again look at if we jump up to the top and look at the ones that are active, we can see here we have we've got a video campaign. Oh, okay. I thought there was another question. No, so we can see that we have a video ad campaign, we have a display ad campaign, and then we have a smart one. We do have a smart one running, just to provide some comparison as well for our our cost per click, and we don't actually have a search campaign running. This one was paused, but so yeah, so this is another reason why, to go back to Valerie's question about why you might have different campaigns. So it's not just about the product, it's also about the type of ad that's running, right? So, search campaigns would be separate from video campaigns, which would be separate from display campaigns. So whenever you sort of create that different type of ad, that'll be a different campaign with a different objective as well. So there's a lot of different reasons to create new campaigns, and that's what we've done here. So what I do want to talk about as well, when we look at this this chart here, again, just because we have the data in here, so let's talk about it, because hopefully you'll get to the point where you can run some ads, see some numbers in here, and understand what they mean. Which let's go across this chart here. So again, we've got our optimization score. We've got our campaign type. So number of impressions that we've seen. So the display one, you can see, has a huge number of impressions compared to the other two. That's not uncommon, because display often does not get a huge amount of interaction. And we can see that here as well, right? So the video, even though we have 24,500 impressions, we're getting a interaction rate of 12.79%. So that is much higher than the 0.32% that we are getting on the display ads. Now, mind you, video ads, the interaction, I believe, is recorded as a view. So if somebody views the video, that is an interaction, as well as a click. So the engagements, views of your video. So therefore, like, that's why YouTube video ads are pretty effective, because they're kind of forced upon people, right? You can't watch that video until you've gone through this ad, or at least the first couple of seconds of it, and they count that as an interaction. So or I think beyond that countdown, but either way, we're getting a high interaction rate there of 12.9%, and an average cost of 5 cents per interaction. Our total cost there is like just how much we've spent on that campaign in this amount of time, how many conversions we've got. And then, so conversions, let's talk about this real quick, in that this campaign, this account, unfortunately, has some skewed data in here, where we are, because of the booking platform. So this campaign, just to give you some background as well, is driving interest in our Digital Service Squad program, right? So we're trying to promote the program, and we're saying, here's a link to book a consult with us. And so so the idea is someone will see the ad, they're going to click on the link, they're going to fill out the booking platform and book an appointment with our team. That is like a main KPI for us and one of our key objectives for this campaign. So the problem there that we faced is that our booking platform doesn't allow us to track the conversions, meaning someone who's finished that booking process. We tried some workarounds and it didn't quite work out, because what it's doing is actually recording all of the interactions that are happening on the booking page as a conversion. So it's not ideal, and we're working actually on fixing that by switching our whole booking platform, just so we can get that accurate tracking data. It's a big undertaking, but it is really important. So anyway, hopefully what you would see is accurate, and I will say that setting up your conversion tracking is a fairly technical setup, and that's a good reason to book a consultation with the Digital Service Squad, so we can help you do that. And then finally, we'll see I'll skip over these ones because those are just some add-ons that we did. But then we've got our clicks way over here. So we can see how many clicks we are actually getting on those and our average cost per click. So that's also, a pretty important consideration, like how much does it cost to actually get someone to click on that link and see some type of engagement with that ad. Any questions about that before we jump to the next section? We're going to start actually creating a search ad for the Digital Service Squad. Let's jump into it, shall we? So the way we'd create a new campaign is this blue plus button. We are going to create a new campaign. So here's the first big decision that you have to make is what is the objective of this campaign? So are we trying to make sales, leads? Are we just driving website traffic? Are we trying to generate some product and brand consideration? Brand awareness or reach? Are we promoting an app? Are we looking to drive local store visits and promotions? Or you can also create a campaign without a goals guidance. And so before we choose a goal too, I will say that some of these will have different ad types associated, or different ad types associated with each of the goals. So like if we select sales, for example, we can also select our action. So these are conversions that we've set up already. Calls and website booking, appointment bookings. If we select leads, website visits, so the conversion action is always going to come up as sort of a next step. For the purpose of this, I'm going to say we're going to create a website traffic ad, because that's what we want to do. We want to drive people to our website, fill out our booking form, and make an appointment with us. So, and then the third step is select your campaign type, right? So, so we've got search ads. Good question, Valerie. So yeah, how do you know which objective will allow you to create text-based ads versus display ads? Well, I mean, so you can see how easy it is, right? If you select brand awareness and you don't see search ads, text-based search ads, then you can just switch out and pick a different objective that will give you the type of ad, the campaign type that you are looking for. But essentially, the way you want to think about it, I mean, is it's more the brand consideration and brand awareness. Those types of things are just more specifically display and video ads that are just going to be a really broad promotion of your brand, essentially. Because like, if you recall, when we looked at that sheet, you know, the first campaign chart, we could see the impressions on the display were enormous. So that's where, you know, just using that for a brand awareness is very effective. So so for this, I'm going to go with a search. You're going to say something, Amy?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
it's just one thing also to remember is that this is down the line, but once you have set up your ads and they're going, and you can go into settings, which we can show you later, and make the changes. Like make a change to the type of ad you want to run if that's not working for you. Do you know, does that make sense, Ben, that I'm explaining that correctly? So if you choose a campaign that you want to website traffic, but you're like, no, I want to do sales instead, you can change it in your settings once your ad's going to.
Cool. Yeah. I want to point out too the difference between here. So search and these are fairly new, Performance Max campaigns. They're a slight combination between text and display ads, where they have some visual elements that you can put in them, but they also have text elements. So it's a really good mix of both, and can be a great option for retargeting ads. So when we target people who've already been on your website, to just kind of try and stay top of mind with those people and bring them back to make a sale, Performance Max can be a good option for that. But for today, for now, I'm going to just go with pure search and talk about getting that set up. So for this purpose, I'm going to use Enterprise Center. .ca / Digital Service Squad. And then campaign name, you want to give it a name. I like to keep the like the traffic search in there too, because even though there are little icons, if you recall from that chart again, you know, there's a little icon that shows the campaign type, but I can never, you know, quickly differentiate between the two. My brain just can't seem to connect those dots. So I like to just put it in the name. Or I might say new website traffic search campaign. I'll say search 2023. Cool. So we're going to set up our bidding first. So that's how Google determines how you're going to pay for those ads. And so you can either select your conversions, conversion value, clicks, or impression share. And for the sake of this, I'm going to just stick with conversions. Conversion value is kind of interesting because, you know, especially if you're selling like a high ticket item, if you actually input the amount of your average conversion, you know, the average sale, let's say it's like $500, then that will influence Google a little bit more. Like, you know, gives them a little bit more information to make a decision on like how much you might be willing to pay for an ad to get, you know, get it up in the top position in front of the right people, that Google thinks like, you know, they might convert. So let's spend a bit more, but make sure that that we're in front of the right people. And not to say that you are spending more over the course of the month, but in terms of just that one ad bid, it's just one thing to think about. So, but again, for today, I'm just going to stick with conversions. That just means that they know we're trying to get conversions. We're trying to get people to sign up to our form. And so that is a consideration when it comes to how they're bidding on our ads. And again, that's where you set the target cost per action, or we can further set that. I'm going to leave it off for now. So customer acquisition, we can select only bid for new customers. So that's kind of interesting. But by default, your bids equally for new and existing customers. And again, you know, it all comes down to the fact that Google knows a lot about us, who our customers are, and they're gonna, you know, you have the option of putting your ads in front of new customers or old customers or a combination of both. So I'm going to say new and old customers. Let's just keep it really simple. So again, going back to the hierarchy of, you know, our campaign, these are our campaign level settings that we are going to select here. So we are we have the option to select the networks or all networks. I kind of like to choose the different networks because I'm not necessarily a big fan of the, you know, showing search ads in the display network. I don't think that's very effective. Or sometimes I don't necessarily want to do other Google search partners. So when I deselect both of those, that means that this search campaign is only going to show up in Google when people search for the thing or things that I am trying to get in front of them or trying to associate with my ad. Location. So this is really important as well, especially because by default, it's selecting all countries and territories, which is way more than I want to advertise to. So I'm going to enter other location. So you can go as narrow or broad as you like. And I think for the purpose of this, I need to start speeding up here. Sorry, because I'm running out of time a little bit. But I'm just going to say Collingwood. And so it's going to pull up all the different options here, but we're going to say Collingwood, Ontario, Canada. The city includes a reach of 95,000. We can target it or exclude it. I'm looking to target it. And you can, so then you can keep adding different cities. You can add a, a perimeter around that city instead. Like you can say,
you can do a radius.
Radius, thank you. That's the
yeah.
term.
If you hit advanced search there, then it takes you into that, and you can go into a radius of like 50 kilometers around Collingwood or wherever location you want to do. So it's awesome that way.
Yeah. So then we also want to look at our location options. So this is really key as well, because what we want to tell Google is that it's asking, do we want to show this in show our ad to people with who are present in Collingwood or have an interest in Collingwood. So that's really important because, you know, for the digital service squad, like we want to target only businesses that are in our geographical area, right? But for a tourism business, you definitely want to be showing your ad to people who have an interest in a location, right? So that means like they might be searching for it, they might be looking for things in that location. But for us, again, I'm going to select presence. So people who are in or regularly in our targeted location. That's really important. Default language is set to English. You can add multiple languages there if appropriate, if applicable. Audience segments, I'm going to skip over this for now because this is when it gets really granular, really complicated, because you can target people who have different interests, different search intent, all kinds of things, much like Facebook, where you can actually target based on their interests and hobbies and things. But for the purpose of this, I'm just going to leave that for now. And you also have the option to let Google sort of pull in assets from your landing page that we would have provided there, meaning pictures, headlines, and things. I'm going to leave that off for now and just check on more settings. So here's where, see, this is where they get you. What I was saying about the start and end date. They've got it hidden under more settings, but it's can be really, you know, like I said, really important to set that end date. So I'm going to set it as at least like, well, I'm jumping way over here. At least to like July 31st, right? So at least, you know, I'm running 2 months campaign. I know it's not going to go beyond that. And I can always extend it, you know, if I want to, if I need to, that's no problem. But it's, like I said, really good thing to just make sure that we're not spending more than we want. You can also set the ad schedule. So this is kind of interesting too, where if you don't want to show your ad at, you know, from midnight till 5 a.m., you can turn that off, which is kind of cool, right? Like, because that could be, you know, a certain type of clientele. I don't know. You might see some different results if you fine tune that ad schedule. So that's all I'm going to say about that for now. And then now we're into keywords and ads. So we are building out the ad group settings, and that's where we get into our keywords, right? So what's really great about this is you can punch in, you know, they've brought in the website address that I've indicated at the beginning, and you can put any address in there, by the way. So it doesn't have to be just your website. It can be your competitors. It can be like another website that you like that is similar in another market. It could be whatever, as long as it's like related to your product. You can tell Google, use this, and it's going to give you a bunch of keywords as suggestions. You're going to say something?
In that marketing plan that you put at the beginning there that people can look at, it also has your keyword planner in, or like your keywords section in there. So you can plan ahead, which is strongly recommended, and use the keyword planner, which is Google keyword planner, or your AI, and get some great keywords from that, but plan ahead.
That's right. Yes. Thank you. yeah, and so you can also, so you can search for keywords by, you know, searching through websites, or you can actually just type in a certain type of product, and it's going to give you, if I hit update suggestions, I'm going to replace those, and there we go. So it's made a bunch of suggestions based on the type of product that I'm selling or advertising. And for the sake of this, again, you know, you can go in here, delete ones that are not applicable. You can apply some, you can apply all. I'm just going to apply all for the sake of argument here. And then we're going to actually create our ad. So once again, we've got our URL up at the top. That's where people are going to land once they click on your ad. They've just brought that over from when I put it in initially. And we're also looking at a preview over here on the right-hand side. And then they're going to score us for our headlines, our popular keywords, the uniqueness of our headlines, and the uniqueness of our descriptions as well. So so what's good about these, though, is that they do guide you in a lot of ways. So you know, if you skip over the digital marketing plan template, like I am doing for this purpose of this exercise, you can click on here, so add headlines, and you can get some ideas. And they will share with you some call to action phrases. You know, find out more, let's say, or get started today. Promotion phrases, best prices. I mean, these are not necessarily applicable to what we are trying to achieve or what we are promoting, but you know, if you've gone through the exercise of putting in all the appropriate products and keywords in the previous step, you probably will get some pretty appropriate and usable headline suggestions here.
We just have a question here saying, while a campaign is paused, do I still get charged? And the answer is no.
The answer is no. That's right. Yeah. So only when your campaign is active and running, yeah, then you will be charged. So yeah, I always like to, that's again another, you know, good reason to put that start date for your campaign, but then you can also just leave it paused when you first create it, so that you can, you know, make sure you fine tune it before it goes live. Again, so for our description here, we've got oh, here's some other more ideas for our headlines. Search marketing consultant, I'm going to say. Oh, so these ones are just suggestions. I can't click on it. I have to actually type it in. So you'll see, watch, if I go search marketing consultant, it will see, look at that. So now it's saying, okay, perfect. You've kind of covered off these different keywords that you've selected. And you'll see that has improved my headline score here. They're kind of moving me up the chart there. So it's kind of fun to see, you know, you make little improvements. And that's where, you know, again, we're seeing our optimization score. So even when an ad has been, you know, you've created it with a 90% optimization score, as it's been running for, you know, a couple of weeks or months, that optimization score will drop because, you know, it just gets stale. It's using old keywords, and so the score will drop. So you just come in and you can often just refresh some of those keywords, or excuse me, refresh some of your headlines, some of your descriptions, and that's going to bring you back up. So that's one of the easiest ways to improve your optimization score, is to follow along with these prompts, these ideas. Again, here I'll go digital media services here. So, and again, yeah, we saw some more check marks there. I'm going to go strategy, consulting. Did it hit any check marks? No. I wasn't specific enough. Let's go online marketing. Oh, consultant. Boom. So there you go. See, so now I've got a check mark here with my headlines. So that tells me we've got some great headlines in there that are, you know, really in line with our keywords. And we would go through the same exercise with our descriptions, and get that check mark up at the top as well. I did want to mention as well, we've got an option to add images too. Even though this is a search ad, you do have an option for images. They're called image extensions. So sometimes there'll be like a small little thumbnail next to your search ad. So I highly recommend doing that, because it definitely like stands out, makes you look a lot different from the other ads. You want to put in your name and logo, and site links. So site links are different areas within the page that you may want to add. So they've given me some options here to say, like, to add these different links down here. Get your business online, $2,500 digital grant. Those are actually perfect. So yeah, sometimes like the prompts and the suggestions are really great. Other times you may need to customize them as you go. And so yeah, so site links essentially are, we can send them to other areas of our website. So let's say you were a retailer, and you're selling clothes, right? So you could have different site links for clothing, accessories, shoes, right? Like whatever would be appropriate for the audience that you are targeting here. I see there's another question. Right. So can we please take a minute to explain bidding a bit more? I need to wrap my head around how to ensure that we are efficient in paying for ads, getting value out of the ads. I've always been cautious of choosing cost per click. Perhaps there's a better option. Yes, let me just wrap this up. I will finish with that. So I'm going to say apply those site links, and I'm going to say next. And then we're going to set the budget. So it's going to recommend a budget. Sometimes that recommendation is bonkers. Like $50 a day almost is way too much money. Like that is, there's no way that I'm going to spend $50 a day on this campaign. So don't feel bad about setting a custom budget that is far less than what they recommend, because even like $5 a day you know, they're going to give you some flack about that, some warnings, but that's just not sustainable. $50 a day is, for, you know, a small business. I very rarely run into a business that could afford that. So what I will say about it is, if I go back actually to here, I slide about budgeting, what you want to think about is your average sale, right? So oh, we're at 11. I gotta hurry up. You want to think about your average sale and your return on investment as you build out your budget. Because yeah, I don't have time to necessarily go into it. I'm going to send out this slide deck actually for everyone who's registered. It's got a breakdown. Again, we will, it's a great opportunity to book a consult, follow up with us. And I'll just try and get to these questions here as well. So to answer your question about the bidding strategy, I think it is, it's definitely consideration. It's not necessarily the most important consideration, though, I would say, because it's something that just happens in the background. It happens, you know, in a fraction of a second, actually, that just will determine like where your ad is going to land, like who it's going to land in front of and in what position. And so, like, I think, you know, using just the conversion bidding method is probably one of the more effective methods. If you go to the, you know, if you do actually enter in your conversion, what was it, like your sale price, that can definitely be more effective. But yeah, I wouldn't stress about it too much, essentially. Like, that's sort of the short answer. Because I mean, because you're still going to be, at the end of the day, you're still going to be spending the same amount at the end of the month, you know, that you've set as your actual budget. And that's really, I think, more important to think about how much you want to spend. And conversions can be the best approach for that, I think. So Alan asks, do grants actually exist to set up our business? Yes. If you haven't heard, absolutely. You can learn more about the grants at digitalmainstreet.ca. Here's some info about that, digitalmainstreet.ca. And again, you can book, Amy put that link again in the chat. So if you want to learn more about the grants, we can connect and tell you more about the grants and the eligibility factors there, and if you might qualify for that. It's $2,500 to put towards your digital marketing. That can be things like your ads, it can be things like improvements to your website, hiring consultants and web people, whatever you need. So yeah, I think that's all the questions. I wish I had more time to go through that, but hopefully that gives you a really good overview of creating a campaign, setting up that account in Google Ads. And we look forward to connecting with you if you have any other questions or issues. That's what we're here for. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thanks, Amy and Karen, for backing me up. And we will see you all next time. Bye for now. We're doing social media advertising, Facebook, Meta, Ad Suite next week. So definitely register for that one. It's also going to be very hands-on, trying to give myself more time in the platform. And yeah, it's going to be great. So thanks again. We will see you next time. Bye, everyone.